In the male, it's in the prostrate gland. In the female, it's in the vagina. I think they call it the G-spot. I've heard that term thrown around, and that seems to be what this is obviously associated with running the Kundalini energies in the creative process as well as the creation of life process. These are the frequencies that control the part of the aspects of creation and sexuality and sex drive. Now what's interesting is because we have distortions in Kathara Grid 2, 1, 2, and 3, in Kathara Grid 2, there's a whole bunch of wacky sexual deviation going on in our culture, not to mention a whole bunch of twisted ideas about what sex is supposed to be. Sex is a holy thing, and it's not holy just because it makes babies. It was not created just for the process of procreation. That's one sacred thing it can be used for. But when a male and female come together as souls, as oversouls, as avatars, in Christos love, the Kundalini currents that each of them run can be combined. And when they combined, they run a huge amount of current that can be used for tremendous healing or manifesting powers. This is why you have a lot of black magic cult type people that are using sex magic, because they're tapping into lower anti-Christos teachings of how to use the Kundalini to amplify energy. They're using it for the wrong reasons. But the potential to use sexual energy in its divine Christos blueprint, it was supposed to be a joyous, beautiful way of sharing. What we see as body parts sharing with each other out here in 3D, remember, this is just a hologram. We get hung up on body parts here. This is a hologram. This is the illusion part. If you take that away, during the sexual act, what you see are two beautiful fields of light with two currents, main vertical currents of energy coming together. And those two currents of energy open to each other, and they form a beautiful figure-8 infinity sign. And the currents of both run through each. And the fields, the huva bodies and the auric levels expand. And there is an ability for one avatar and another to amplify their consciousness and bring in their rishi level together. It was meant to help you grow into becoming whole here. When you get to being an avatar where you're fully 12-strand activated, do avatars at that level have sex? Not in the same way. It becomes a moot point, because after a while, the energy fields, you're in an intimate love relationship with everything around you, every species, every rock, every tree, every molecule. And at that point, but it's usually, fortunately, the body's evolved to that point too, where you don't have the apparatus anymore to worry about anyway. So, gender just becomes a difference between whether you are primarily made out of part of cum units or part of chi units. Base magnetic or base electrical is really what male-female gender differentiation is in consciousness. And they are both equal, and they are both important, and they both are required to have either, because it is a balance of polarities. So because of the distortions right now that are in Kathara Center 2, because there are distortions in the planetary grid line 2, which is called an axiotonal line in the planetary body, and because there is a Kathara grid distortion in the planetary shields in the second Kathara Center in D2, we are all processing part of that confusion. Sexual confusion. We get sexual identity confusion. We get power struggles between the currents in men and women that come out to be gender struggles. We get power struggles within ourselves between our own female and male aspects, because we all have both. We're both male and female. We're all androgynous beings, truthfully. We may be having one side of it amplified a little more, and that gives us what our physical form is. But we're androgynous. A soul doesn't worry about whether it's male or female. A soul can love male or female. That doesn't mean we all need to go and be bisexual. That's another way of, do you really need to use your life force currents this way? Some people do. It's not our job to pass judgment on them. However, there is a thing called sacred sex, that when we get these areas of the body, the first three-dimensional levels of the body straightened out, where there's not distortions being carried that give us distortions in our feeling body, and in our physical sensations, and in our conscious association of what we're doing, once that's cleared out, there's a whole new world of what relationship means.